Hey, my name is Gaia Athena and today I'm bringing you a book review of Record of a Spaceborn Few by Becky Chambers. This is book 3 in the Wayfarers series. It is a science fiction series for adults and it is very much character driven. The first book in this series is called The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. And the second book in the series is called A Closed and Common Orbit. Now, I really loved the first two books in this series. I should say that the stories are somewhat connected, but they're not a series in like a traditional form. So in this book, we follow the crew of a spaceship called the Wayfarer, and a human named Rosemary, she joins the crew. And they have to do this job that is not without risks, and she gets to meet the crew, who are very interesting characters, if I may say so. And that's kind of pretty much what this book is about. So this series is not like really action-packed. It is much more character-driven, which is different from most science fiction books that I have read or have heard of. So if you like character-driven books and you like science fiction, you might like this series. But then I would recommend starting with book 1. Book 2 is focused on 2 characters. One, it is somewhat connected to this. Yeah, this is focused more on 2 characters. Well, it's a bit complicated to explain exactly how these books are connected. I would recommend reading them in order though, because the world gets more explained in this book. We're talking about book 3. The way this book is connected to the first book is that one of the main characters of this book is the brother of one of the characters from this book. But all the other characters are new. And this book is mostly about the Exodus fleet. And there are a few main characters. Most of them are humans. It's a bit difficult to describe a synopsis. There is a synopsis on the back. I'll hold it here for a little while if you want to read it. But I personally felt when I read the synopsis that I started reading the book, that the synopsis covers some of it, but like not all of it, if that makes sense. So there are a bunch of main characters, and here on the back they mention Tessa and Kip and Sawyer, but there are actually, like, I would say 3 other main characters that we follow. And they are not mentioned on this back. I guess that would maybe get too confusing. But in the beginning, I had trouble remembering who is who exactly. I kept confusing at times Kip and Sawyer, and I kept confusing Isabel and Ayaz. I'm not sure how you pronounce her name. And Tessa, and like, so the one character that's an alien, who's not human, I should say. Her name is Gahulolan. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that. Anyway, I could remember who she was because she was not a human. And personally, I think one of the very interesting things about this series is all the alien species in here. So I didn't find all of the perspectives as interesting to read from. I guess I should have started this review off by saying I didn't love this book as much as I did these 2. So maybe I should have started with that rather than just going into it. And like later on in the book, I understood more why we had certain perspectives and how everything sort of ties in together. But especially the first half or so of the book, I found some perspectives more interesting than others. And yeah, I was kind of struggling to tell the characters apart. The second half was more enjoyable. I got more of a feel of the characters, and like it got more interesting, if that makes sense. but no spoilers. It probably didn't help that it took me, I think, almost a week to read this, and I had some things going on in my life, and I was feeling tired for a few days, and so I wasn't quite in the right headspace to be reading a book that is a bit more like complicated, as opposed to reading and denser, let's put it that way, as opposed to reading a like easier book as maybe like a children's book, or well, just something that's easier to read, let's put it that way. For me, that, sorry, my dog. There she is. Oh yeah, I was telling you that children's books, for example, are a bit easier for me to read when I'm tired. Anyway, so there were some times where I wasn't quite in the right mood for this book and in the right headspace. Hi, Liebert. And so it took me a bit of time to get through this book, but I didn't want to pick up a book alongside it. Maybe I should have. Anyway, I definitely enjoyed the second half more than the first, but that could also be because I was feeling a bit better, and so I just let my dog in, and now I can't remember at all where I was with this review. I have seen reviews of a couple of people, well, seen or read reviews by a couple of people who did really like this book, and who also like these two books. So the fact that I didn't enjoy this as much as these two, you know, you might still enjoy it. It's just that I really loved these two books, and I liked this one, but I didn't love it because, as I said, I had trouble getting into it in the beginning. I struggled with the characters. And to be honest, I kind of wish we had seen more like alien species in this. That's one thing that I loved, especially about book one, which I loved the most out of these three, was how you got to know these aliens and learn about their culture and everything. And I loved learning about the Exodus culture in this. I really liked that, but I also would have liked to see more aliens. So the parts where the Gololan, or how exactly you pronounce that name, was in, those were some of my favorite parts. I just really like, yeah, I just found it really interesting to like hear about the alien species and all of that. But of course, for the story that's being told, it wouldn't have made much sense. But yeah, I did, however, enjoy learning about the Exodus culture and how, and the fleet and all that. So I think I might actually enjoy it more upon a reread if I'm more in the right headspace for it. And when I'm less tired and not feeling as ill and all that. So maybe it was just a matter of reading the book at the wrong time. But either way, I'm still glad I read it. I'm also glad now that I can maybe go read something else. Because it felt like I was reading this book for a while, and I felt at times that the pacing was maybe a little bit slow, but maybe that's just me. Maybe I was expecting it to be faster paced. I don't know. It felt like in some pieces stuff happened, and other, because it's all so the chapters are relatively short, and they're all from like one of the 6 main characters' point of view, and it felt that some chapters moved the story or the characters more forward than other chapters. And so, for example, the first part of the book is the prologue, in which we kind of see some of the main characters and what they're going through, and I'm still a little bit puzzled as to certain parts of these prologues, certain chapters, as to what their point was, other than maybe introducing the main characters, but like the events that happen in them. Like I can't quite connect that to the rest of the story, if that makes sense. Maybe anyone who's got a dog can relate. If you have your own garden, that sometimes the dog wants to come in and then a few minutes later wants to go outside again, or the other way around. And when we still had 2 dogs, it was even more like that. So, I mean, I don't really mind, but sometimes it can be like a bit much. Especially when we had 2 dogs and then one wants to go outside and a few minutes later the other wants to go outside and the first one wants to come inside. Anyway. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna wrap this up now. I do really like this cover. I was really excited to read this book, and I specifically waited until I could get the medium-sized paperback with the cover that would match these 2. These are, I think, the UK medium-sized paperback covers. Because for the longest time the hardcover was out and the trade paperback, but not the medium-sized paperback, and also not the one with this matching cover. So I waited a while, because I think actually this book came out maybe last August 2018, something like that. I'm not entirely sure. So I was very excited to read it. It came out beginning of March. It is now, as I'm filming this, the last day of March. So I'm happy I got the matching cover, but I am a bit disappointed that I didn't love this book as much as I loved the other ones. So I loved this one the most, and then this one I also like this one a whole lot. I didn't love it as much as the first book, but I did really like it, and I liked this book but didn't love it. So that's how I would be in my ranking. But if you know, are interested, yeah, if you think it's something for you, you could give it a go. If it's not for you, I understand. Science fiction is not for everyone. But I don't know if the author is planning to write any more books in this series. I'm not the kind of person that follows a lot of authors on Twitter or anything, so I really don't know. I'm kind of hoping that she will, because despite the fact that I didn't, I was a bit disappointed with this and I didn't like it as much as the other 2, I would still be very interested in reading more books in this series, because I do really love this world, and the diversity in it, and just all of that, and the cultures, and the weather was pretty right today. There's still that train, I apologize. But there's been a few people lately who commented on the background in my videos, so here I am waiting for the train to pass. But I would actually film more outside, but it's been pretty windy lately, and I feel like you'd be able to hear that. And I really don't like the way that sounds on camera after. But maybe sometime I can think of, or maybe sometime it'll be less wind, or something, or I can film a bit more of the garden, because the garden is pretty big. So I don't know how well you can see that, but it goes there. Well, a while ago I posted this bit of being in the snow in the garden, so a few of you may have seen that one. That video, but that was a while ago. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!